Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is episode 3 of our student engagement series, and let's see what we're covering today. Today we're going to be covering modernizing your whiteboard. My name is Teresa Castro.
And I'm Gabriel Ward.
And I am Ricardo Recinos.
And we are TOSAs from Hacienda La Puente Unified. So we just wanted to go over our purpose and non-purpose today so that we know what to expect. So our objective is to spark students to learn, collaborate, and engage in active new ways by modernizing your whiteboard. Our purpose is to bring learning to life using tools such as Jamboard, Zoom, Microsoft, Whiteboard.fi, and Whiteboard Chat. Of course, our non-purpose is we don't expect you to be a digital whiteboard expert at the end of this because we are not even experts at using digital whiteboards. We don't expect you to throw out everything you've already been doing. We know you've been using these tools. You've been doing amazing. Just add this to your toolbox, okay? And please do not feel limited to what we're sharing today. You have your own ideas, and these are just to add again. So please feel free just to use these as resources, but continue to do the great job you're doing right now. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Thank you all. Up first, and we'll be talking about Jamboard. For those of you that may not have heard about Jamboard, I will say this. It is an amazing tool that's part of the Google Apps. And really, it reminds me a lot of Google Slides. So if you have any experience with Google Slides, we'll feel very comfortable getting going with Jamboard. So the first thing you want to do is to get started. And we're going to create a jam for ourselves. We're going to come to the top section. You see your waffle. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And from there, you should be able to find Jamboard. Now, for me, it happens to be here. If you don't see it there, you can always scroll down and locate it and bring it back up. But I'm going to go ahead and click on that and open up our Jamboard. Now, if you've had some experience, you may see tons of things that have already been created like myself. But if you have nothing there, have no fear. We're going to get started by building and creating our own jam. And I think this is a great tool, something that you can use both with students and also when you're working with students remotely. I've had the pleasure of being able to do this recently face-to-face with students and over last year as well, both with some workshops working with teachers and staff, as well as working with students. So here I have just a pure blank screen, and this is my jam. So let's say, for example, I had given this to my students. It's something I wanted for them to work on. Let's say it were potentially a math problem. So I'm going to come over here on my left-hand side, and this is where you have your tools. I'm going to go ahead and create a sticky note, which is really like a little virtual Post-it. I'm going to give the problem that I wanted to my students. So we're just kind of creating this from scratch. So let me go ahead and generate that problem. So 237 plus 123. Keep it something not so unreasonable. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And there you go. I have my Post-it or my sticky, and this is what I'm going to ask my students to solve. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that we can tackle problems. That's one of the things we like about math, right? But for this particular thing, I want to highlight some of the things you can do in Jamboard. So we just saw how simple it was to create a sticky, and this is what I've given to my students. So if my students were to receive this particular slide and they were able to get going on it, some of them may feel the need, like, you know what, I want to go in and find some pictures. So they're going to come on the left-hand side, and you can see right over here where it says Add Image. So if I click on Add Image, it gives me the option. Maybe I have some files stored, maybe I have something downloaded, or maybe I have absolutely nothing, which I do not. I'm going to find something. So I'm going to come over where it says Google Image Search, click on that, and I'm simply going to type in whatever it is I want. Now, in this particular case, let's say I wanted to be able to demonstrate with some manipulatives, for example. So if I wanted to be able to look up something, let's say I said I wanted some base 10 blocks. Let's go through that, see if it pulls me up anything. And you might find something you want, but let's say, for example, you wanted specific units. Let me say if I wanted just a, let's call it 100 block, because that's what I really want. And I got something that I can work with. I'll select this one right here, and I'm just going to click Insert. And there you go. I have my hundreds block, okay? But we know I also need some tens. So let me go ahead and go back to that image search. I'm going to go ahead and say tens block. There you go. I have the picture I want to go ahead and insert that. So now I have my hundreds, I have my tens. The only thing I left, I need my ones. So let me go back to that image search, and I'm going to find a ones block. Now, you saw in that first time, it pulled up a lot of an image. That's one of the things when you're looking at images here, you're going to select the image as it is. We're not going to be able to do too much other than resizing. So I'm going to go ahead and say my ones block, or just even a cube, actually. I found something that I'll use. Let's go ahead and select that and click Insert. So there you go. I have my hundreds, I have my tens, and my ones. But of course, we're adding something significantly larger. Let me go ahead and minimize that. All right, so we're adding some numbers that are larger. So I don't have to continue search that. I can just duplicate what I already have here. So if a student wanted to, I can just simply click on that. And there's some shortcuts. I'm just going to go ahead and Control D that to duplicate. So now I'm dealing with 200s. And then I want 3 10s. So let me go ahead and resize that so it's a little bit more reasonable. Now it's the same size as my hundreds there. And I want 3 of those. Why? Because I have 3 10s. So let me go ahead and Control D 3 times. Got an extra one there. And so I have 230 and I need 7 of these. So it's a lot more work for my students. Now this is something that I have done before where I give it to my students ahead of time. So maybe they're working with it and then they're just being able to drag and drop it. But it's just something that my students could do. I like a lot of times giving students choice. So maybe this is an option of something they might choose to do and maybe not. Just want to make sure we're seeing some of the different features that Jamboard has to offer us. So I have 237 there and I'm going to go ahead and get some of my hundreds. I have 100, so I'm going to get one more of those. There's my 100 down here, and I need 2 more 10s. So let's go ahead and go in one more. So I have my 120, and I have 3 more 1s. So let me just Control D 3 more times, and I have my 123. So for my students that are being able to demonstrate their understanding of this potential problem, I might come over here and say, how can I show that we're obviously using some regrouping? I'm going to grab my pen feature. You could select any one of the colors. Let's say I wanted green. And I'm going to be able to indicate, you know what, I have those 3 right there, or that 10 rather, that 7 and that 3, and that's going to form an extra 10. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here and make another one of those. So my students can easily demonstrate their understanding here, representing some manipulatives, some base 10 blocks to be able to demonstrate their understanding of place value and 10s and 1s. Now in a Jam, you can go in and create additional, almost as if you will, slides in a slide deck for Google Slides. But here I'm just going to simply come and add frame. And now I have a separate new frame. So let's say I had the same problem that I had given to students, and maybe another student may go about the problem in a different way. So they could simply come up and let's say they wanted to be able to demonstrate their understanding with a pen. Let me go ahead and go back, change the colors. And the student wanted to say, you know what, the problem I was adding was 237. I'm going to go ahead and chunk it out. Just a quick draw. There's my 200s, my 3 10s, 1, 2, 3, and my 7 1s. And they can go through their 7 1s. But I have some other students that don't think in terms of maybe, let's say, for example, virtual manipulatives. They're not thinking conceptually, at least in terms of understanding with manipulatives. Maybe they don't want to represent it in the form of a drawing, or they don't want to use our base 10 blocks. Maybe the student just wants to be able to indicate quickly here and breaking it by place value. So let's go ahead and come up to the expand. I'm going to go ahead and add a new frame. And this is simply adding text. So in addition to the ability to draw things, in addition to the ability for students to be able to pull in images, Jamboard offers just a simple ability just to create text, as if you will on Google Slides or a lot of the other programs that are out there. So I'm going to go ahead and come back to where you see down below at text box. I'm going to go and insert that text box, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm thinking about it purely in terms of hundreds. So I'm going to go ahead 200 plus 100. So I have my hundreds. I need my other place value because I want to think about another text box here. And I want to think in terms of 10. So I have 30 plus, let's say 70. And then I need one more text box. And I need that for my 1. So I have 7 1s and 3 more 1s. So if I was to be able to total it out, I can go back and grab a stick unit if I was a student. Let's say I wanted a different color here. And I'm going to say, okay, it's a total of 300 plus another 100, combining that 30 and that 70. And then we still have 10 more 1s. So a student can indicate to me, and that's one of the beauties, I think, of Jamboard, is there's so many different options in terms of what students might offer. And they might indicate to me their understanding in a plethora of different ways. So there's different ways that you might be able to indicate how you've grabbed it. Now, we just saw real fast some of the features that Jamboard offered to us. These are sometimes things I've done with students to be able to tackle it virtually. But when I was doing with students in person, I had the class, something I shared out to them. They worked on it. And as opposed to maybe, let's say, for example, let's bring up your whiteboard. Let's bring up something. We already have our Jamboard. So at the front of the room, I have my presentation going. And I asked the students, hey, can you share? I love what you were working on over there to the entire class. And then they might come up, or they may even sit from their seats if we wanted to keep them kind of separated, and pull up their laser. And they're indicating to the class and explaining virtually, you know what, I was adding my 10s here. I was adding my 1s here. I was combining my 100s in my final answer. So it gives you a lot of options, not only what you're going to choose to do to give students the access to be able to get started with this, but also the way that you're going to kind of use it as a discussion or as a springboard for the conversations about the various strategies that students are able to embody. So we just saw how to build one. Let's talk about a little bit more how you might utilize with your students. Like, how are my students going to get this? And so let's say, for example, I simply started with just the problem. Let's go back to that very first one. And maybe it was just this that I had for my students and nothing more. I could share that out with my class, and there's a variety of ways you might do it. One of the first things is I know a lot of times we have learning management systems. Maybe you're using Google Classroom, maybe you're using Canvas, or maybe you're using something completely different, and that's fine. It's simply, if you will, a placeholder, a place where you could be able to disseminate or share this with your students. I know I was in a classroom the other day. I didn't have that luxury. I didn't have access to their learning management system because I was substituting in that case. And you could simply create a bit.ly if that were the case, or any shortened URL to be able to share that out with your class. You just want to give them the ability to be able to have access. Now, let's say, for example, this is something I want to give to my class. I'm going to go ahead and come to let me go ahead and get rid of this so we're back here. And you see share. This is probably something you've seen with Google before. If you've familiar with any of the apps, I'm going to go in and click on that share button, and it gives me options in terms of how do I want to share it. Now, if this was something I wanted to give my students, and I do this a lot, I believe firmly in collaboration and opportunities for kids to work together, where I'm giving this to groups of students, then I'm going to go ahead and change this share setting so it says restricted to only people with this. I want to change it so that anyone with the link can actually edit. Now, I will say with this from experience that you be capable of giving students the ability to be able to write, but when you're finished with the conversation, you're finished with the task at hand, that you adjust that share settings so that maybe students don't go back later and or while we're trying to have some whole group conversations, change it. It might not even be they're off task. It may simply be that, you know what, there was a great idea I had, we started talking and then I wanted to share screen and all of a sudden it's gone. So just be mindful if you want to take the student's ability to have access to write versus to remove that, you can simply do that here. So I've changed it to anyone with the link can edit. I'm going to go ahead and copy that link, and I can place it in different places. Let's say, for example, I had a Google Classroom. So this is with my students. Maybe I'm creating an assignment, or maybe even I'm just putting it in the message, but most likely I'd probably create an assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to here. I'm going to go to classwork. I'm going to create an assignment. And I can give it a title, whatever I want. In this case, let's say maybe it's the math problem for today or math problem of the day, however you're going to do this. And then I'm going to give my students any instructions. But for us, I just wanted to make sure you understand that how simple and straightforward it is for us to simply insert a link. So I've created my link. So if I go ahead and said assign this assignment and I gave it to my students when they came to class, all they simply had to do was to be able to click, open the problem or open up the assignment and click directly on the link and we're there. And so this would be something if you wanted to have different students working all within the same document. And that's one of the beauties of Jamboard, I think, is that collaboration feature, that ability for our students to be able to have multiple either small groups or pairs of students working simultaneously on the same task at hand and doing it in different ways. And then you as a teacher being able to bring that whole group conversation together to highlight, here are some of the things I really like going on here, some of the things I saw over here, so that we're able to kind of have some collective understanding of what was going on. So again, this is one way that you might do it with Google Classroom. If you're using, let's say, for example, Canvas, it'd be simply different, but either way, you're putting the link available to your students. So this is something I think I would do maybe if I were face-to-face. Maybe my students are in class, either it's a period I'm planning to meet with, or maybe later in the day, I can say, my students ahead of time, I've already placed it for you. Now go ahead and open up your laptops or your devices, take those out, and go ahead and go to wherever, whether it's our Google Classroom or our Canvas, click on the assignment and open that up, and our students are working on it. So if I was going to share it in Canvas, I might go the route of an assignment, just kind of like we did for Google. I'm going to go ahead and create an assignment. And then at some point down here in the body, I'm going to go ahead and insert that link so that my students have access to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and post that, of course, and publish it so that my students have access. So same idea, students get to the assignment, they click on your link, and they're there and actively working on it. Now, that's one thing I think is really helpful. But I've also had some cases, like I mentioned to you, where maybe you're not doing it face-to-face. Maybe you're doing it with your students virtually or over distance. Maybe it's not even something you want students to collaborate. So I just want to show you another option because, of course, there's always different ways of going about it. None of these are necessarily the right way, just some ways that you may choose to go ahead and pursue. And so what I really want to do, let's say, for example, we had just finished reading this piece together, and it's something I want my students to be able to dump. Or maybe we're working on a unit of social studies, and I want to see what is everything you were able to pick up of the U.S. history of this block of segment we were learning. Just a brain dump out everything you can remember today. So my students are each going to get their own potentially, and I want them to be able to show this. So I'm going to go ahead and at the top, as opposed to it saying, and I'm going to come to the end, you can change the back end of the URL so that it says copy. And what we're really trying to do is make a forced copy for our students. All right, so in addition to the ability to force copying, one of the benefits of using Google Classroom is the fact that you can be able to kind of give it to your students without that need for a forced copy. So if I were going to go in and come up to create, just like I did for that first assignment that we did, As opposed to being able to drop the link here directly for my students, I'm going to come over to where you see Add Google Drive File right here on the left-hand side at the bottom. And simply by clicking on that, you're going to get access to your drive, which is all those files. So I have some of these Jamboards in here. Let's say for our science folks out there, maybe we wanted students to be able to label something. Now, what I want them to be able to do is not only for them to view it, but what I want them to have is that each student has their own copy. So again, this is an alternative to the forced copy. Simply click on that, and I give that out to my students so that when my students open the assignment, automatically it generates a new copy for them so that each student's going to be able to come in and do this activity without the worry about I'm messing up someone else's activity. All right, so in another way that you possibly might be able to send this out with our students is inside of Canvas. You can come to create an assignment, and if you have some experience here, you have the external tool. So we're going to come down to where it says submission type, external tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select my LTI 1.3. Here I go. Now that I found that. So from here, we're being able to find the file. And let's just say, for example, it was this one. I'm going to click on this and click add. If you didn't see it right away, you can always search and find what you need. And I'm going to click add here as I did. And it says right here, each student will get his copy. So yes, while you always have the ability to force copy for students, the features that it affords not only inside of Canvas, but as well as we've seen in Google Classroom, is that each student has the ability to receive their own copy simply by you using the features inside of the learning management system. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And when my students open this up from their end, they're going to open the activity and automatically see their assignment and work on that, and I will automatically get that inside of my own Canvas account so that I can see it. There's not much from the students or me as the teacher once I've set it up that manner.
That is such a great feature to have, especially for our district, because you'll be able to grade it obviously in Google Assignment, which will bring it into your speed grader. Such a great tool.
All right, guys, have a good evening.
So
good luck
we'll
on your stuff. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
We want to make sure that we are fair to Office 365. So we wanted to show you their whiteboard version, which will be very similar to Jamboard, but we wanted to make sure that you actually got exposed to that one too, okay? So you'll notice that I'm over here, I'm on Office 365, and there are many ways to get to the whiteboard. The easiest way for me is to go over here to the waffle. And when I click on it, you're going to notice that because I use Whiteboard a lot, it's going to be as one of my favorites up here. After you start using it over and over and over, it's going to actually link itself to the top. But if you don't find it, you can go to all apps and you will be able to find it right there. I'm going to click on it and you're going to see that it's going to open for me. Whiteboard for Microsoft is a little different. They actually have the web version, which we are going to see right now, but they also have this amazing app that you can download that has all these extra features that we might see really quick today. I don't have time to cover everything.
We're going to try.
Just remember, yeah, we are going to try. But just remember that if you wanted to use the app, all of your students will have to download it. Okay, so that will be the only difference. So I'm here, and you might recognize that this looks very similar to the way Jamboard looked a second ago. Okay, I have the ability to open previous created whiteboards from here. I also have the ability to come and create a new one, which is what I'm going to do now, okay? So let's go ahead and open a new one. And I'm just going to click on it. And here it goes. And sometimes it might take a while, and then you're going to see that by definition, I'm just going to go from left to right so you can see all of our options over here. But over here, we have home. If I click here, it's going to take me back to all of my whiteboards, the screen that we were just on a second ago. And over here, what I want you to see is I'll talk about this little guy in a second. I was preparing for this and I misunderstood exactly what it does, but now I know exactly what it should do. We have a pen. Okay, so obviously if I came in here, I can come and click on it and I'm able to just use the pen, basically what I can do. Okay, notice that I can come over here and undo. Okay, so I can have a black pen, I can have a red pen. Okay, and I also have the one that your students are going to love the most, the Galaxy pen. Right, and I knew Teresa was gonna like that.
I'm so distracted.
So that's kind of a nice one, right? Along with that, we do have a highlighter that we can use too over here. Okay, and we have the eraser where we can come over here and erase things. Okay, and then finally, you do have your text, the ability to write something. So let's go ahead and put something in here. So I'm going to add text over here, and I'm going to type, and I'm going to say, ¿cuáles? I'm a Spanish teacher, so I'm going to go into Spanish right now. ¿Cuáles palabras empiezan la letra D? I was in a first grade dual immersion class, and they were talking about the letter D. Now, something that I love about Jamboard, notice that it actually gives you grammar correction. So if I come over here and I hit Alt, and let me do this right now, in the down arrow, you're going to see that I'm going to get an option to get my question marks, my accent marks, and everything in Spanish. So I can come over here and automatically
that's so
switch
cool.
that, which is really cool. So I know my dual immersion teachers are going to be like, yay, right? This is such a great tool to have, okay? So now I've said which words start with the letter D. Okay, as I move through here, notice that I can add a note, similar to how we did with Jamboard. What I do love about Microsoft Whiteboard is that I can actually click and add a note grid too. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So notice that I just did that right now, and I'm going to throw it right in here, and notice what happened. So now I have a grid that went right in there. It's pretty cool to have, okay? So you actually can do it that way if you wanted to. Or if you wanted to just add one, you could go over here and just add a sticky note if you wanted to and just put it right there. Okay? So maybe I'm gonna try to add, let's add a couple of them. Let's add, notice how I can move everything together right here. Let me add another one in here just so you see them. So let me keep adding them. I'm gonna add, let's add 4 of them. Okay, there's a reason why I'm doing this. It probably would have been easier if I used the grid, okay? But what I want you to see is that after that, I do also have the shapes. So I have the ability to add shapes if I wanted to. Just to give you an idea, I can just come over here and add one if I wanted to, and it's right there. I can change the color if I wanted to. And right next to shapes, we do have the ability to add images. So let me go in there, and I'm just going to bring some images in here. Let me bring a couple of them. Let's bring this one. Let's bring 4, since we added 4 sticky notes in here, okay? And then let's bring one more. Okay, and now that you've done that, you do have the ability to come over here and just kind of move them around if you wanted to. So let me just get them out of the way so we can actually see our board. Okay, so this just be a very simple activity where I'm going to ask the kids to go ahead and put in the pictures of the words that start with the letter D into the correct sticky note if I wanted to. So now, obviously, I'm going to need a student to help me with this, okay? So the best way to do this is that I can come in here and I can click over here to be able, notice by default, it's always off. So you want to turn that on. So if I turn that on, now I have a link that I can provide to my students. And let me show you that. And I'm going to provide this. And I think Teresa's going to be kind enough to be our student today. So I'm going to provide that link to her. And then in a second, we're going to see as she is able to come in here. So let's go ahead and give her a second. So I provided that link to Teresa, and you could have done something similar to what Gabriel showed you with Jamboard. If you would have done it, maybe you were in a Zoom meeting, you could have put that on the chat. Maybe you would have done it through email. You would have done it through Google Classroom. You would have done it through Canvas. We use Canvas, so I would probably share that through Canvas. And once Teresa gets that link and she clicks on it, I want to show you her screen. But this is Teresa, and right now, notice that that's her right there. And I can see her drawing, but notice that she has the ability to come in here and take those pictures of those words, right? So let's see, Teresa, which of those start with the letter D? Okay, now that Teresa's our student, she can come in here and look at those pictures and decide which of those pictures start with the letter D, right? So let's kind of go ahead and see how we do. So we have that, and that is ballena. Creo que
Ballena,
D.
that's
Ballena.
a B.
B, no, muy bien. So we wouldn't use that one, right?
Okay. Well, this is a 2, so that's
un diente. Diente.
You're quizzing me on my Spanish.
And she did a great job bringing it in. Okay.
Wait, this is dolphin in English. What is it in Spanish?
Un delfín.
Oh.
Okay.
Things we learned today.
Y tenemos finalmente un dedo. Dedo.
What's that?
A finger. Un dedo.
Mm.
Que podemos traer. And I know this was very simple, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what Whiteboard can do for you. In addition, I wanted to show you, this is some very simple options that you have. Over here, before I go to open in the app, I want to show you that you do have the new Whiteboard is coming, where they're going to integrate actually some of those tools from the app into the web version. So you're going to be able to use some of these other tools, okay? Again, just like you had the ability to do it on Jamboard, you can export this as an image that you can provide to the students later on so they have a copy of this, okay? But I wanted to show you that you also have the ability, if you go to the Microsoft store, which is right here. I'm not going to do it right now, but I mean, I'll just click on it and I'll show you. You will just come in here and you will look for Microsoft Whiteboard, okay? I have it installed, but it's already right here, okay? And if I click on it, I can go ahead and install that particular app. If you wanted to use it with your students, they will have to install it too if you wanted to do this version. But let me go ahead and launch it just so you can see it. It's going to launch for me. I'm going to bring it in here so you can see it. Okay. And then you're going to notice now that you have so many more options that you can use. Okay. Just to show you, I can switch from the stuff that you saw a second ago, which is basically our inking. So let me go ahead and do the inking mode again. And notice that you have the pens, a little bit more colors that we didn't have before, right? We have the highlighter, we have the eraser. Then you have a ruler. You can bring the ruler in.
Wow.
Okay. And I can bring a pen and I can draw lines, straight lines.
Wow.
Right, and I can move the pen out of the way, right, and I can maybe a different one, and I can do this right here.
Wow.
Parallel lines. I can also change the angle of the ruler as I'm working with it, which is a different color, just so you get to see it. Okay, so that's a great tool to have right there. I can undo all of this if I wanted to. Okay, I also have the ability to use the Lasso Select if I wanted to, so I'll show you what that looks like. Let's clear everything in here. So let's clear everything. Let's get rid of the ruler right now. Okay, so let's say that maybe I wrote something, right? And I'm just going to write my name. And when Whiteboard looks at this, it sees each letter as an individual item, okay? But with the lasso, I can come in here and I can grab it all. And now I'm able to select everything.
Nice.
Together to move around. And I have some options over here, okay? To beautify it if I wanted to. I'm not going to spend much time with all of that, but I wanted to give you an idea what the lasso looks like, right?
That's awesome.
I guess because you can use different colors, you can copy, you can delete, and so on and so on. Okay, so that's kind of the way you will use it. Okay, let's get out of the inking feature over here. You have the ability to do text just like you did before. You have the ability to add the notes like we did before. You have the ability to add an image menu, but over here now, you also have the ability to use your camera if you wanted to, which is a completely different tool that you can use in many different ways. Think about going outside of the classroom, taking a picture, and now you bring that in, and the kids are able to annotate, they're able to add information and so on and so on. You can use Bing images, and you can bring your own image if you want to. I'll show you what that looks like. And we're gonna bring an image in here, and let me just go to a folder. Let me just do this really quick. And then we're gonna go back in here, and let's bring Gabriel in today. Okay, and when I bring Gabriel in, notice that I have all these abilities automatically. Did you see how I did that?
I'm so easily amused.
Pretty cool, right? So I had the ink grab if I
it.
want to, and then you can do that automatic. I did it again because it was so cool. Okay, I can do thumbs up. Like kids can actually come and vote. If you have pictures and they wanted to vote on something, our students will be able to come and vote. I can also lock the background, so this picture becomes part of my background, and the kids are unable to move it, or no one's unable to move it. I can copy it, I can delete, and so on and so on. So I wanted to make sure that you saw that. This is amazing. I wish we had a lot more time to spend. Just want to show you. I can add a note grid. I can add a template. I can add a PDF to the kids to annotate on it. I can add a Word document, and I can even add a PowerPoint document with slides in here that the kids could use inside of our Microsoft Whiteboard. So I wanted to make sure that you saw that. This is the way I will share, just like we did before. If I wanted to go ahead, a lot more powerful, I can look for Teresa, and I could just automatically invite her to be part of my Jamboard if I wanted to do that. Sorry, my Microsoft Whiteboard, not Jamboard. And then finally, right over here, notice that you have the settings for everything that you might want to use, right? Active pen, ink to shape, ink table, object snapping if you want it. You can export, you can send to OneNote, you can post to Teams, and do a lot more if you wanted to. So again, this is just a very, very brief introduction of Microsoft Whiteboard, the web version, and also the app, which has a lot more robust tools for us to have.
And I don't know about you, but I feel like that's totally worth it. I know we love the web version, but getting them in on this app and all those extra possibilities, I totally feel like that's worth it.
I completely agree. And we've seen teachers in a science class at our district that have used the web version, and then we introduced the app, and we actually had to come back and put a hit ticket for them to download it to every computer because each kid wanted to use it with the teacher, and it was just a completely different experience. So I agree, Teresa. So that was Microsoft Whiteboard. We did want to make sure that we show you, I know during distance learning, a lot of our teachers use this, and some of our teachers are still using Zoom here and there. So we wanted to make sure that we were fair because Zoom does have an amazing whiteboard feature that you can also use. So let me show you what that looks like. Teresa and I are in a Zoom meeting right now. And if I can come in here and I go to share screens, And again, we're talking about collaborating, we're talking about engaging our students, right? So we know that through the annotation tool, we could share a screen and annotate with the kids and be able to engage them that way. But we wanted to make sure that you knew that we also have a whiteboard and Zoom. So if I come in here and I click on it and I share that right now, what I want you to see is this whiteboard is going to appear, okay? And you're going to see that what it does is that I have the ability to use, and I'm gonna bring them over here so you can see them. Basically, all of the annotation tools that we have when we annotate in a Zoom meeting through sharing a screen, okay? So notice that I could come in here and add text if I wanted to, okay? I don't know, which one is the verb? Okay, I'm just gonna ask that, okay? Thinking about being a Spanish teacher, okay? I could draw if I wanted to, okay? I have the ability to draw in here if I wanted to. Just to show you, I can change the color to a different color. Let me just change that, okay? Just so you see it, okay? So I could do that there too. So a lot of opportunities to draw, right? Shapes, different figures, and so on and so on. Notice that this could happen to you. I have the ability right now for my students to annotate, but maybe I am, and then I have a very bad student right now that just came in here and wrote the word fly in here, okay?
I'm answering the
So,
question.
I don't have a sentence yet, but this could happen to you, and this was actually great that happened to you. I have the ability to annotate. What I want you to see right now is that I could come in here and under clear, I can clear my drawings. I can clear all of the drawings or just the viewer's drawings. So if I go here, notice that the fly that Teresa put in there went away, okay? Notice that I also have this ability to who can share here right now. So maybe if it's the part where you're teaching and you don't want your students to annotate first, which is what happened a second ago, I'm gonna bring the Zoom controls on so you can see it, okay? So notice that over here, under security, I have the ability to click on it and I can say that nobody can annotate or share content but me. So if I unclick that option, Teresa as a student does not have the ability to come and write something in here. So you have to be careful when you want the students to annotate and when you don't want the students to annotate in your whiteboard. But obviously we want to collaborate. So I'm going to turn that back on because I do want Teresa to be part of our whiteboard right now. So Teresa, you can go back into writing and drawing stuff in there. So something that I've find very useful is the stamp. Okay, and let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so let's say that I came in here and I wrote. Let's type. Let's do fly, run, house. Okay, and I was asking Teresa which ones are the verbs, and I wanted her to actually use the stamp to go ahead and stamp something next to the verbs that we have there. So Teresa could come in here and notice how she decided to pick the arrow for that. And she was able to tell me the fly is a verb, right? And if you wanted to pick run, she can do that too. And obviously she's going to leave house blank. So I've seen teachers use the stamp in many different ways. And I think that would be a great way to use it. So you do have the ability to use the stamp with, if a kid has a question mark, you can use it that way. Spotlight, okay? Similar to Jamboard, you do have the ability to kind of spotlight as you're making points and you kind of maybe want to bring the students' attention to something in particular. You'll be able to do that with the spotlight. You also have the ability to use an arrow, okay? And notice that it shows who put the arrow there when I put it there too. So that's kind of a great tool to have. Okay, so if Teresa came here and did it, she probably will be able to do that too. Teresa, are you able to do the arrow or no?
I did the arrows earlier. It didn't say my name.
Yeah, and then so that's a great point. So the way you could see which student did what, and I want to make sure that you know that, okay? If I kind of hover over that arrow that Teresa put in, I can come and kind of hover it, and I noticed that Teresa did that one, and if a different student would have done the next one, I could come in here and see the name of that student. So you do have the ability to see who's annotating inside of your whiteboard. So that's actually, thank you for Teresa for reminding me of that. That was actually something that I forgot. In addition, a couple of months ago, Zoom did an amazing job, and they added what they call the vanishing pen. So if I wanted to highlight some, as I'm talking and introduce the lesson, I wanted to say verb, right? And I want to just kind of highlight verb. Notice that the vanishing pen is going to go away. So I can come over here and highlight, underline, or write something, and we know that that's going to go away right there. Okay. We also have the ability to erase something if we wanted to. So I can do the same thing, similar to how we did on the other whiteboards format, the different types of color we're using, the line width, or even the fonts that we're using. We have the ability to do that if we want to. Again, we can undo or redo if we want to. And you have the ability to clear everything, clear just what the teacher did or clear what the students did. Let's say that you don't want to reinvent the wheel. We had one period for me to teach Spanish 1. My whiteboard's created, and I'm going to period 2, and I still teach Spanish 1 in that class. I just clear my viewers' drawings, and I bring my new class in, and they basically are going to complete on something that I already created, and I have the ability, again, to come over here and save, and again, as a picture or as a PDF that I could give to the students at a later time. So I know some of the features are basic, but I think it's a great tool, and it can provide an opportunity for you students to collaborate and be engaged through Zoom. Anything else that I missed when it comes to the Zoom whiteboard, Teresa?
Nope. I mean, we just saw so many teachers using it during distance learning that we had to bring it in here, because there are times that you're also Zooming with the kids, and it's a tool that you have, so it's great. Thank you, Ricardo. That was a lot.
My pleasure. So we're gonna leave our Zoom meeting right now, and let me go ahead and just close this right now, and let me just end the meeting. And then we're back over here. We wanted to show you 2 more type of whiteboards that are web-based that are pretty incredible. The first one we're going to show you, and correct me if I say it wrong, Teresa, is called Whiteboard.fi. Whiteboard.fi. I think
That's
I said
the
it right.
coolest way I've heard it, so we're going to use that.
So it's basically, again, it's designed to improve engagement and also to make formative assessments instant, on the spot. And I'll show you how that works. Very easy. If I was a teacher using it, just the workflow, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to wait for each student to answer on their own whiteboard. So over here, we're not collaborating on the same one. Each of the kids has their own whiteboard, and I'll be able to assess if they did it in real time, okay? Everybody gets their individual whiteboard as we are doing this. So I'm going to show you how that works, okay? Again, the free version is the one we're going to use today, and there's no need for you to use the paid version right now, I don't think. So I'm going to basically come in here. I'm going to create a new class. I will highly recommend that you create an account with Google or Microsoft, completely up to you. But once you've done it, I'm going to show you that I'm going to over here and create a new class, okay? And I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this Spanish 1 period 1, okay? And I can put my email in here. That's just for them to send you updates. I can do that. You don't have to do it, I don't think, if you don't want to, okay? And then over here, you have the ability to data storage location. So I think by default, I just leave it like it is. And I will highly recommend the enable the waiting room. Again, because it is web-based, it's a best practice to make sure that you know who's coming into your whiteboard. So I will definitely enable that, okay? And I'm going to create my new class. Okay, so it's creating that class for us. And I want to show you what is going to work, what it's going to look like for us. So again, I can provide this to the students, whether it be through Google Classroom, but whether it be through Canvas, right? I can copy the URL and provide it, right? Which is, I'm going to do this right now for Teresa, who is our student, and I'm just going to put it on the chat for her to be able to see it, okay? And I also have the ability to show the QR code, and our students could join that way too. So a couple of different ways for them to join, okay? So we're ready to go in here, okay? So let's go ahead and toggle to my whiteboard now. And here is what my whiteboard looks like, okay? And we're going to wait for Teresa to come and see it. And I think Teresa's already in, right, Teresa?
I'm in the lobby.
You're in the lobby right now, right? So let's go ahead and bring you inside then. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that Teresa's in the lobby, we can see that actually the whiteboard will tell us that we have one person in the lobby waiting, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And again, if I know who it is, Teresa, I know exactly that that's one of my students. I'm going to say accept. And now she's going to be right in here. What I love about Whiteboard 5 is that if we have 20 students, I'll be able to see all of their whiteboards right here, okay? Wow. So let's go ahead and just come in here. A lot of the tools are similar, okay? Just to give you an idea, they're going to be very, very similar. I have drawing tools in here. I have the pen like we did before. I have drawing tools. I have different shapes that I can add, okay? So again, you can add images. So let me go ahead and just add over here. I'm just going to draw something. I'm going to put 3 plus 5. I wish Gabe was here so he could do a more complex math problem than the one I can do. But obviously, I'm not a math teacher. So notice that I wrote that right now. And notice that Teresa can see it there.
So Ricardo, I wanted to show them my screen because it looks a little bit different. So can you share my screen right now?
Sure. So as I could see the students, we're going to show you what Teresa's whiteboard looks from the student point of view.
So here I am right here. So right now it's like, oh, where's the problem that he wanted me to solve? But I actually have to go up here and toggle teacher whiteboard so I could see the teacher whiteboard, and then I could toggle back to mine so I could solve it on mine. But Ricardo's also going to show us something else right now so that I could actually write directly on his.
Right, so notice that I created a problem, right? And we did something very simple. I guess we could have used some of the tools that are available here, but I wanted to make sure. So now I can come over here and push and assign, okay? So if I do this and I push it to students, it's going to erase whatever they were doing. So maybe some of the kids were drawing or doing something else, might have been distracted for whatever reason, right? So I'm going to push it. And what I want you to see is that when I push just the current page, okay? Now I want you to see what's going to happen when I push that, okay? Now notice that Teresa
So this
goes
is
back
my
to her
screen now, and
student, right?
mhm.
Notice that's her screen, and she's able to actually do this right now.
And so this is my actual student one, and he pushed his material onto mine, so now I can actually solve it myself. So I can do that right there. Did I get it right?
Right, so notice that she did it. I'm going to back to my screen right now. And over here, that was the problem that we gave Teresa. Over here, again, you will be able to see just little tabs of all of your students. But if I scroll down, notice that I can see Teresa's whiteboard with her answer. And if I had more than 30 students, so 40 students, I could actually search for that particular student where I would be able to see what they solved. So the great thing about Whiteboard.fi or Whiteboard.fi is that each student is getting their own whiteboard where they can work on their own, similar to how force that copy with Jamboard happened, or creating a copy for each student happened with Jamboards. But this basically creates it for us automatically. Okay. Again, I did not go over some of the other tools in here, and again, we're using the free version. There are some items that you might have to pay if you wanted to use those particular items. But this is just a very quick introduction to Whiteboard 5. And I don't think I missed anything, right, Teresa?
And very cool, because it was really easy for you to set up, and then you have the student view right away. You don't have to go to other windows or anything. So I really see a big advantage of using this as well. So
yeah, think about being able to see all of your kids in
Mhm.
here, right? That's it. Also for classroom management, right? They're all working, they're all in tasks, and you can see all of the little screens right here as they are working. So kind of a great tool to have. So that was Whiteboard 5. And we do have one more that we wanted to show you. And I wanted to make sure that you understand that Whiteboard Chat, it's pretty amazing, and we could spend hours on it. Obviously, we don't have the time, so we're going to show you just a quick introduction with some of the basic
Basics.
features to it. Okay, so I'm in here. I wouldn't recommend that the students have an account, but I do recommend that the teachers have an account. So you want to create an account for Whiteboard.chat. Once I'm here, this is what it's going to look like, and then all you need to do, you might get confused, or you just go to start drawing, and when you go in there, you can start teaching, start collaborating, or manage boards. Right now, we're just going to start teaching, okay? So I'm going to click on that, okay? Notice that it's going to open our board. Because I am using the free version, you're going to see that I have ads that might pop over here. On the side says disable ads over here. I do have a pop-up blocker, I have to say, so it's probably blocking those ads. So just throwing that out there as a best practice. You're not seeing the ads because I have a pop-up blocker over here disabling those ads. But let me just move from the left to the right again. The first thing again over here, this is just your drawing tools, right? You can draw, you can write, you can erase, you can upload. There's some tools that I'm going to talk about in a second. The Lasso that we saw a little while ago, in Microsoft Whiteboard, it's there. The first thing that I would do, honestly, is I will name my board, okay? So I want to make sure that I know exactly what it's named. Spanish 1, that's exactly what I'm going to call it. I can redo, I can undo if I want to, I can refresh if I want to, I can trash things, I can zoom in and zoom out if I wanted to. The zoom is on mine by default right now, but I wanted to show you this really cool tools over here. Pen color, obviously I can change the color of the pen if I wanted to. The students have the ability to actually raise their hands. And actually, when they do that, this will turn green for me. So I know that someone needs support or help, or they have a question, and I can come and see that. So I will show you how that looks when we see the student view in a second. You also have the ability to add class timers. So you want to make sure that you add a timer for everybody. I can just come over here and put like 5 minutes, because we're going to be working on that activity for 5 minutes. I can have the ability to lock the board if I wanted to after 5 minutes, and I can set the timer, and I can start the timer. Notice that it's right there as I put it in there. Okay, disable it right now. Okay, the support buttons right here, so it's just available for you. Over here, they do a really good job changing it depending on the season. So kind of just a little break. If I click on this, It's going to give the students a break. All of them are going to see this kind of
I
really
need
cool
a break.
animation go by, and they're going to be able to see that right there. Okay, over here, I have the ability to autocorrect all boards. Pretty incredible. We don't have the time to go over all of this. I can chat language. I can choose different languages
Wow.
to chat. I can do polls. If we have time, we'll show you how to do the polling in here. I can open the class boards and so on and so on. So we'll show you how to set background if we have a chance. And finally, over here, I have the ability to tell it which is going to be my default tool. So maybe most people pick the brush as their default tool, okay? The size of the screen and the font that I want to use all the time, my default in here, okay? And over here, I can say students see very simple tools. If I don't want them to have every tool, because they might get confused, I can turn that, or just simple tools. So you have that option to decide which ones you want to provide the students, okay? So maybe with those little ones, you might just want to do the simple tools.
Right.
If they're more advanced, you might want to add more tools that are available for them, okay? And then where everything is going to save for me is under Google, because I did create an account, so I do have that. It basically created a Google folder where all of my whiteboard.chat are going to go in, okay? And then finally, I have the ability to invite people, okay? Which we'll do in a second. QR code, right? I can copy this to the chat, or I can send the code to, if I wanted to, I can do it through Google Classroom and Teams automatically, okay?
Wow.
So that's kind of a great option to have. I did want to make sure that you saw some other tools that we have under Draw, okay? Right here. Just want to show you. Objects in here. If I save objects, they're going to be available here for me to have. But I wanted to show you this. It's pretty incredible. My gizmos in here. By default, this is going to be on Matt. Just going to show you what that's going to be there. And I know Gabe talked a lot about this.
Yes.
They do a great job with them too. Notice all of the stuff that you have in here. I can even talk about some of them. Gabe will do more justice, but if I wanted to do a 10 frame, I can bring that in there. If I wanted to do a 5 frame, I can bring that in there too. Okay. Sorry, I take the pen, my fault. Let me go there. Okay, so I could bring that 5 frame. There are so many things that you can use in here just to kind of show you. Okay. I don't even know what some of them mean. The number lines, you can bring a number line if you wanted to. I'm just giving you an idea. I'm just throwing a lot of things in there because I wanted to show you the powerful tools that it has in here. Okay.
Wow.
You can snap things. You can do fractions for the kids if you wanted to bring that in. Okay. And then just let me scroll down because I wanted to show you other stuff in here. So these are just the math options that you do have. There's so many. If I come in here, I can do math symbols too if I wanted to. So I do have the ability to do those in there. Just to give you an idea, I was blown away by the fact that I can come in here and I can show. I just want to show you this one's right here. Okay, currency, a lot of different currencies, not just US, but you actually have those already embedded in there when you're converting money, I guess, if you wanted. Animals, people, you can do this with the little ones if you wanted to. Also, alphabet in different languages in here. And there was one more that I wanted to show you. There's experiments with biology. To show you, we can do things with that. But I wanted to show you one more that we do have in here. And oh yeah, the mind maps. Okay, so let me show you that. Venn diagram, I can bring it in here. And I can have that as part of my board if I wanted to. And there's other ones in here that you can bring in. So just wanted to make sure that I showed you that. Let me clear everything right now. So just clear all pages right now. Okay, I'm just gonna try to clear everything. Clear. I'm trying to clear all of them. And sometimes you're going to notice, and I noticed this today, that you have to actually refresh as you're clearing all pages sometimes to see that it actually works for you, okay? And then when you refresh it, everything's going to go away. We did notice that that's kind of a little hiccup that it has, that if it doesn't update, you have to refresh it for it to actually go ahead and show you that, okay? So that was the gizmos that are pretty incredible. Again, there's so much stuff in there. And there's also widgets that I think I love. You have a clock, you can add a link,
calculator, wow.
Dice. If you wanted to add dice, I mean, just think about how you could use this, right? For equity sticks, if you wanted to use it that way, right? Or how many chances, who's going there. So you do have all this ability to add all these widgets in there, signals for students and so on and so on. Spinners, YouTube is in there. There's websites that you can add. I mean, there's so much stuff. Like I said, we could spend hours just on this particular platform. But I just want to make sure that I show you that I can invite someone. So I'm just going to go to invite. I'm going to copy this. So I copy to the clipboard. I'm going to provide this. So however you want to provide this for students, you would do that. So Teresa's going to get that link right now. And while she is doing that, let me just go ahead and write right here. I'm just gonna type. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna type something here. Okay. Notice that I can see that Teresa is part of our board. I can see her right up here. She's joined our board right now. You're probably gonna notice that you can see Teresa's screen right now, but I'm gonna share it for you right now, so you can see it. So notice that she has that little on top, very similar tools. Notice that they're not as robust as they are as mine were because I changed it for her. But notice that I wanted to bring attention to that little hand right there. You see that little hand when she says ask for help, raise your hand. So if Teresa was to click that, and then she can click it right now. Okay, it gives her options. Teresa, can you tell us what that says? I can see it from here.
It says, raise hand, I'm finished, bathroom break, please speed up, please slow down.
And that
So
will be
I'm gonna
something that will
say
be
I'm
great
finished.
with me who tends to speak really fast. Notice that Teresa just said something, and then I'll show you my screen. And it popped up right on my screen. Teresa's finished. Notice that she did that. Let's have Teresa do it again for me, please, so they can see what it looks like instant.
Sure. Let me go ahead and I'm going to say something else.
Okay. She has to go to the bathroom. Okay. So again, you know how you handle your classroom and how you will handle that particular one, but I can clear that there too. Okay. But if Teresa has some tools, and I've said the table is blue and we're talking and we're collaborating, I can say, Teresa, can you underline the adjective here, right? And Teresa as a student can come in here, and with the tools that she has, and I'll share her screen too over here, right? She could go over there and grab the pen tool.
So I click on the drawing tools, and which one is the adjective?
So notice that she's able to do that right there. We're collaborating, and she did it on her board right now. I can actually show you that in a second. If I go to grid view, notice that Teresa's board is right here in front of me. And if I had more than one student, I can come in here and actually see that if I wanted to. I can go in here. I can showcase Teresa's work because she did an amazing job with this. And I can click on that. And every kid is going to see that particular board. So
Wow.
every student will be able to see that particular board. I'm showcasing her student. I can disable that if I want to. And we go back to our board. So let me go back to the grid view so you can see it right now. So I had Teresa's board right here along with the other boards from other students. Okay, I want to show you something else if I can do it really quick. Let me go to single view. So I wanted to show you one more thing that you can do with this, and I think it's pretty incredible. So I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to upload something, and I'm just going to upload a file for my computer. So I'm just going to click here. You can do it from Google Drive. Upload bingo. It's pretty cool. But let's just upload a PDF, okay? Let me go in here, okay? Let me go find it. Okay, I have a PDF that I want to use. It's going to bring it in. Notice that I have this just counting to 10, okay? So now I have it set up right here. And let me show you, if I was asking Teresa to work on this, let me go ahead and go to the grid view. So Teresa has it right in there. And let me show you her board right now. So let me show you her point of view right now. And I just brought a PDF that I found. And now she has the ability to go and say click for hearts or just circle for hearts, sorry. She can use her pen right there, her drawing tools. Again, notice how simple our math lessons are compared to Gabriel's.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right? And then she will continue to do that. And again, if I went back, maybe I'm doing this on the spot. And again, I want to go to my view, and I want to make sure that I showcase to everybody. So now it's not me doing the work, but it's the students doing the work, and I'm showcasing what Teresa is doing for all of us right now. And then you can see it right now, but every student is able to see that particular board as she is doing that particular work right now. So again, I know this was very quick, very fast, because again, this is such a robust platform that there are so many tools. We just wanted to give you a taste, and then hopefully in the future we can actually dive in more into this type of platforms. Is there anything that I missed, Teresa?
No, that was plenty. And I know that we're going to leave a lot of people hanging because they're going to know more about a lot of these things. So, I mean, if you let us know, we could definitely do another session to continue, but we have so many fun sessions coming up. So we hope you continue to join us for our student engagement sessions. Is there anything else, Ricardo, for today?
I think that was it. And I think we look forward to seeing you guys next week when we go into, remind me.
Well, I think we're going to continue a little bit along the lines of this, and then we will eventually get into gamifying your classroom as well. So we've got a lot in store. So just hang in there with us, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.